There's 5 main ways to save on your car insurance. Let's dive in and go over the main pieces that you need to have to get the best savings on your current car insurance. Number 3 is pretty good. The first one, you might think this is not really a way to save, but you would be so shocked on how many people get screwed over in reality because of this. Know the coverages that you carry. When you're shopping for car insurance, I can't tell you how many times or how many phone calls you get where they say, I'm just shopping for car insurance. Great, what current coverages do you have? No clue. Knowing the coverage that you have, you could have great coverages, and I could be quoting you horrible coverages. It's going to feel like you're saving a ton of money, and you could do that, but why not just stay with the agent you're with and just lower your coverages? In that case, you don't need to necessarily even shop, you just need to talk to the agent that you currently have. So knowing those coverages can make a big impact. Mainly the bodily injury. Yeah, you've got property damage and the physical damage on others and cars and uninsured and the towing and road service. Those are little add-ons that can increase the price quite a bit. But in general, when you're comparing liability coverage, the bodily injury from one company to the next plays a large impact. The higher the coverage is, and if you lower it, it's going to temporarily give you a cheaper price. Mainly because that low risk is here, because there's a high liability, they know they're protected. That type of customer typically won't file a lot of claims. The lower risk, which is more, I just need it to be affordable, it just happens. You gotta file the claim because it can't pay out of pocket. Well, in this case, they do. And so in that scenario, they're going to lower the cost because you're going down. But when it renews, now what? You're back low to low. So that price is gonna creep back up pretty quickly, if not instantly, on that next renewal of where the liability has matched out to be higher again. So in that scenario, it's the opposite if you wanna go to better coverage, because I'll be honest, most better coverage to better coverage renews easier. It's less of an increase, depending on the location that you live in, the credit, all of the things that I'll link a video that goes more in depth on those pieces. Let's say you are gonna do that and upgrade, so you have the low coverage and you're gonna go to the higher coverage, you're gonna pay a little bit higher premium unless you're saving money, because I've had 100 times where I get a better coverage, better policy, lower deductibles, but because the company was a better fit, they like that profile, they like the location that you're in, they like the vehicle that you have. And in that scenario, they love that. So their price is just naturally cheaper. And because even though you're upgrading the coverage, you're gonna get a better deal. Number 2 is no shocker, you need to shop around if you haven't done what we just talked about. If you're just trying to lower coverage, talk to your current agent first. They're likely, if you trust them and you like them, then just go back to them and find out what deal they have. If you are going to shop, the best thing to do is find the companies that are more independent. There are cases where non-independent agents are good, but in most cases, even companies like Geico are appointing independent agents. Nationwide have gone independent. You've got Progressive, you've got Safeco, which is owned by Liberty Mutual, you've got Bristol West, which is owned by Farmers. All of these main companies that you would normally just call one agent, talk to one agent, get one quote, and then call another agent, talk to another agent, get another quote. These independent agents have multiple companies, kind of like a Carvana search. You're looking for the best price in a slew of companies. That independent agent is able to do that. So they're going to shop these 12 different companies or 5 different companies and come back with the best fit for you based on the pricing and based on the coverages that you want to have. By the way, if you are shopping for new car insurance, I'll put a link in the description below where you can do a quote with an independent agent mostly. There are a few states that I found that there are some exclusive agents like an Allstate or a Farmers agent or something like that that are in there. It just depends on the state and the best fit for you. And if you're a homeowner or you're a renter, it makes sense to have any type of combination deductible. Now, that's not always the case. Lately, we've been seeing that breaking the house or breaking the auto apart is cheaper. It's still usually better and combines at a bigger discount if you're breaking it all over. So if you are shopping for car insurance and you're a homeowner, it does make sense to have them check both to see if there's a big enough savings that combined, it's gonna save you overall. Number 3, we said this is the biggie. The biggie is to check complaints. There are a ton of independent, a ton of exclusive, a ton of agents in general. The companies get the complaints. So your online reviews, you're gonna see that complaints aren't like an Amazon review. You're not gonna get a 5-star in most cases. Here's what you have to be very careful with when you are shopping for companies. If it's an independent agent, look up the agency, not the company. So if I tell you I got a great deal with Nationwide, here's that price, and you turn around and look it up and Nationwide had really bad reviews, that has nothing to do with what the agent is able to do for you. If you don't like the company that they have, then you can request that they go with a different company and they can give you that next best option. But in most cases, from what I've seen, when you see a complaint with your main companies, let's say Safeco, for example, they don't have the best rating online, but they're one of the better companies. Mainly because a lot of that wait and a lot of those complaints were because the agent that set up that policy didn't give them the coverages that they needed to protect them correctly. Or at least have the conversation to explain that this isn't covered properly and we should at least know that that's available. So in most cases, the agency is the complaints that you want to look up more than the company itself. If you see anywhere above a 3-star, and like I said, it's not like an Amazon review. You're not going to see a ton of 5 stars. Anything 3 stars and above, you're going to have a really good option that you're going with a decent company. Now, that's not the only way to look up insurance companies. There's the AM Best rating. There's checking all of these research websites. I've got a ton of videos on this website that go over actual companies. If you are curious about one specific, leave it in the comments below. I'd be happy to add it to the list of companies going into 2025, 2026, 2027, and so on and so forth. Each year the companies keep changing, so it's a constant update that we do to make sure that we have the right information for you. Number 4 is the big piece that you probably thought of when you clicked on this video, is shop for specific discounts. If you're elderly and you don't drive a lot, or if you just don't drive a lot, there are companies that have lower base prices that have a smart miles where they track your mileage and you pay per mile. So you're not paying as much for that policy than you normally would. Now, that's not always the cheapest route. Again, that's why having that agent that's going to spend the hour, 2 hours just looking around at these different options for you is beneficial. The other part is there's alumni discounts, there's credit union discounts, there's engineering discounts, CPA discounts, there's clubs, there's all sorts of discounts that these policies are offering, and it helps to know if you're eligible for those, that you can get those additional discounts. So talk with your agent. They're going to help you walk through those discounts. Hopefully they're going over them to make sure that they're adding as many as they can to get the policy price as low as possible for your insurance. Number 5 is kind of a prior to doing anything. Check with your agent on any updates that you're planning on doing before you do them. I can't tell you how many times somebody goes to buy a vehicle and they add it to their policy and it adds $100 a month to that policy. They didn't realize that it was that much, where another vehicle adds $10 a month. So when you're shopping for different vehicles, most of the time it's a generalized price, but there are certain vehicles that have higher costs. Hyundai and Kia were in the news the last couple of years because they had a lot of theft and vandalism. So those cars are going to naturally be more expensive to insure, at least for the next few years, more than if you bought a Chevy. On top of that, if you're in a location or looking to move to a different home or rent another place, make sure that that zip code is rated properly, because if you have a different location, that can play a large difference. The people around you play a large factor in the cost of your insurance. You may be in the best area and have no accidents. They love that. It's cheaper. You may go into what you think is a great area, but everybody keeps crashing into each other. That's going to raise the risk for you because you're now susceptible to anything that you're around. And if there's a lot more claims for that company, it makes sense that you check that ahead of time. Now, if that's already happened, you've already moved, the only way to combat that is to shop. Because shopping in that scenario just means that that specific company is not a good fit for that specific area. It could be credit, it could be you, it could be the vehicle, it could be a combination of things. That's where that company pulls all that data, creates a profile, and then they create a price based on that. In that scenario, the other companies may have a lower price for that same situation. Your next step to take is to find out a little bit further. So if you're trying to find out the best discounts and you're like, I get all this, I understand it, great, just show me what I can get off on my policy, what are my options? I've got a discount video here that will go a little bit further into that. If you want to go a little bit more in depth on what we just talked about, I've got another video here that will be helpful. I'm Mark with Think Insurance. I'll see you in the next one.